Luke,
Nice.
what processes do you have in place
Oh boy.
to help your development teams actually accurately forecast delivery timelines? Any implementation tips? I'm gonna say no. Oops.
Sorry. What was the last line?
Any implementation tips?
Implementation.
Uh-oh.
What? Oh, man.
Good luck, James. Have fun.
So yeah, welcome to the world of developer timelines. They don't work. It's like the whose line is it anyways? Points. They don't matter. They don't exist.
They're made up.
They're made up. You start getting used to different people on your team and like how good like that person is at estimating time. Some teams can find systems like they'll start like point scoring things, and a lot of teams will use different types of point scoring that they can have. People saying Scrum for the win. Yeah, good luck. That doesn't. I don't find personally that Scrum actually helps you. There's a lot of issues with Scrum in my opinion, but I don't actually find that Scrum itself helps you estimate actual completion time of large projects that need multiple scrums to actually like be completed. Like maybe, and I mean you estimating the amount of time that it's going to take at the beginning of the project, because some people will cheat and be like, well, we know how much we can do roughly every 2 weeks, and then that's slightly inaccurate every time. So by the end, the assumption we made at the beginning is really wrong, but our assumptions along the way were pretty good, so therefore we did a good job. And it's like, well, no, because we're talking about the assumption you made at the beginning compared to what the reality was at the end of it. Anyways, but you can do like the best one that I've heard of is when teams start looking at jobs and they do a point scoring thing. So they try to assume the amount of like blocks of time that something will take. So they don't do it by hour. They do it by like half day or full day or something like that. And they use that as project estimating. And then they review that after every project that they do to try to help themselves get more and more accurate over time. That is helpful for teams that often do at least somewhat similar things. If you're constantly doing very, very different things all the time, it's still going to be really tough to estimate. I've actually found that I'm more successful when I just get used to roughly how inaccurate individuals are and then don't actually coach them on doing it at all and just have them keep doing their estimates as they have been and then buffer custom amounts per person. And then I've found that's actually pretty good. I'm pretty accurate that way. As a blanket rule, I always add either 2x or 2 weeks, whichever one feels more correct for the situation. Add 2 weeks to it or double the amount of time that the developer says they think it'll take. A lot of developers are a little bit overconfident or don't necessarily fully consider testing time, different things like that, needing to go back and refine things or whatever else. So just give them a little bit of extra time because you don't want them to, you don't want the blow of like, it's late, we need it now, when they actually just want to do a good job. Yeah, so someone in Floatplane chat just said, as a dev, I always feel bad when I underestimate time. Exactly. So if you're leading devs, try to set them up for success by hopefully putting them in a situation where that's not really going to happen, by buffering for them. One of the best ways to do this is not actually share the full communication with either end. Don't tell the devs that you buffered extra time for them until they run out of time. And don't tell the people that you're agreeing to do the project for that you buffered any time. Just tell them the buffered amount. And then you end up delivering a little bit early. And then when the dev ran out of time, you can magically give them extra time. And then everyone on each end is happy and you just, it's all fine.
So basically your career advice is lie through your... Oh. So basically your career advice is lie through your teeth.
No, it's just correctly estimate and know the people that you're working with.
I see.
Yeah.
Hey, Luke. I'm a self-taught software engineer who started my professional career about a year ago.
Nice.
What are your thoughts on companies that crunch to meet deadlines, and how does Floatplane compare?
I mean, we've done it. It's extremely uncommon, like extremely. I don't remember the last time we've done it. And when we do it, it's generally not me driven, if that makes sense. I recognized a long time ago that I actually enjoy those activities because, I don't know, my brain's broken or something. But that generally that is significantly frowned upon. So I have taken on a stance of like, if other people are just doing it by default, I will generally, join in and not stop them. But I try not to impose it because I think that's bad. I think we're also fairly blessed to be in an industry where we mostly set our own deadlines for things. I think you run into some problems in things like the gaming industry when you're announcing the launch of a game, and then say you discover issues with the game ahead of the launch and you're like, oh my goodness, we need to fix all this stuff or whatever. So you announce the launch of a game and then you do a play test and it's horrible, so you're trying to improve it for whatever reason, then you're crunching because of that. Like there's a lot of industries where crunch is more real for more real reasons, if that makes sense. Maybe your piece of software has to match up with a piece of hardware, and
you're a driver team for a GPU company.
You need to be ready on time for the launch or whatever. Like there's situations where it can maybe make sense, as annoying and frustrating as it is, it can maybe make sense. I don't think it often makes sense with Floatplane. I can appeal to you guys, and I've done it, where I'm saying we're going to work on something, and then we end up working on something else, or we make some change, and then I just apologize to you guys on WAN Show, explain why we made the change, what we're pivoting to, what you guys can get instead, etc. And then people are usually actually pretty cool with it, and I appreciate that, and that saves our developers from crunch.
Not entirely.
Yeah. It helps though.
Sometimes they crunch even when you tell them not to explicitly, which
that
is
can
actually frustrating.
Be a genuine, very large problem because people will burn out from that. And I'm like, well, hold on. I'm telling you not to keep working.
Yeah, this is not reverse psychology. Actually, don't do that.
Yeah, like don't work on the weekend. Take your weekend off. It's actually better for all of us. Like just don't.
My favorite line, we had an employee at one point that was very problematic that way, and my favorite line with them was always just like, "You're no good to me, dead."
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to be more explicit than just don't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and it's frustrating because I think there's some like human spirit in the desire to like push really hard
and wanting to help the team and stuff like that. Like so I get it.
I understand it's driven by positive things.
Yeah, but
I need you to be here on Monday.
And functional and happy.
Yeah.
I don't want to it's like it's not constructive for anyone if you're like cranky and burnt out.
Yeah. Or if you like miss things in your personal life because you're pushing for it, and then those people are complaining at you, and then therefore you're upset and all this kind of stuff.
Inevitably,
none of
that resentment makes it back to work. Yeah. It's like, but I didn't ask you to do that.
Yeah. So we're a little bit privileged to be in a situation where we're not running into situations too often where it's like super, super required.
Yeah.
Other industries are not as privileged, and I think sometimes those industries will recognize that they're in that state and then abuse it.
Yeah.
Because people getting into that industry will understand that will happen, but they don't necessarily understand how much it will happen because the company leans on it intentionally, and that's really bad. But it's also not always true. I don't know. It's just